All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where Gervonta Tank Davis's team speaks out about their next opponent and addresses a specific fighter that is in line to get a fight with him by all appearances, and that is Rayo Valenzuela. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where we've got a couple fights that very well may transpire, and they involve Gervonta Davis, Gary Russell Jr., Rayo Valenzuela, and Edwin De Los Santos. Now, before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you guys so much for your continued support. It really makes a big difference to the channel. Thank you, Matty Yo, for all your support this year, last year. Arce Powell, thank you so much. Jeff Miller, Barbara D, Deborah Booker, everybody whose name that I may miss when I do the videos in the super thanks. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. But let's get into this because, we're at the beginning of 2024 and there's going to be a lot of questions about what fights we're going to be getting this year. And there's a couple of interviews that came about that I think point us into the direction of some things that we're going to see. And they in the 135-pound division, there's two fighters that I've really been interested in that for a long time. I think they're two of the best fighters in boxing. Both of them have been getting trashed over the last several years by a certain fan base. The without a doubt 2023 obnoxious fan base of the year, Devin Haney fans. These two fighters are Gervonta Tank Davis and Gary Russell Jr. Speaking of Gervonta Davis, first, I interviewed one of his trainers, Kenny Ellis, about what they were going to do as far as their next fight. And they were told that they've already started training. They have not really, picked their training all the way up, but they're just waiting on the word for the date for their fight. And they didn't have a specific name that they were willing to give at the time. However, in another interview, Coach Ellis had talked about a fight that was being discussed between Gervonta Davis and Rayo Valenzuela. Now, if you're not familiar with who Rayo Valenzuela is a lightweight that fights out of the camp of David Benavidez, and is a very good fighter, man. Heavy, tall, big punching lightweight, who just came off of what many people believe is the knockout of the year over Chris Colbert in their rematch. Chris Colbert won their first fight. Many people thought that was a robbery and Chris Colbert had lost that fight. Well, they ran the fight back. This time, Rayo Valenzuela left nothing to be questioned, stops Chris Colbert, and now started saying the fight that he wants next is the fight with Gervonta Davis. Kenny Ellis talked about that and said, look, man, we would knock that guy out within 3 rounds. With the flaws that he makes, the flaws that he has, the mistakes that he makes, Gervonta Davis is going to get him out of there, would get him out of there quickly, won't go more than 3 rounds. I, however, will most definitely, regardless of what he said, will definitely still take that fight because I think Rayo Valenzuela is a very, very solid fighter. The only person Rayo lost to was another guy named Edwin De Los Santos, and Edwin De Los Santos is probably a very, very underrated fighter. And you saw that, at least you saw the potential of what he could do in his fight with Shakur Stevenson, where Shakur Stevenson was not was absolutely positively not willing to engage with him. And when talking about a rematch, he said, "Yeah, I'll give Dos Santos a rematch somewhere down the line." Somewhere down the line, he doesn't sound like he's in the biggest rush in the world to get back in the ring with Edwin De Los Santos. So that Edwin De Los Santos had a back and forth, bit of a war, man. I think Edwin De Los Santos got knocked down once, but then Rayo wound up getting knocked out by Edwin De Los Santos. But other than that, man, I think Rayo Valenzuela's he's a good competitor. Obviously, he's not a Shakur Stevenson. He may not be a Vasily Lomachenko. I don't really know where Vasily Lomachenko is at this point in his career. I think he's probably as good or better than George Kambosos, but it's a fight that I'll take. And I know it's going to be a fight a lot of people are going to complain about, but I can guarantee you almost any fight that's going to be made by Gervonta Davis is going to be complained about, whether it was Edwin De Los Santos, whether it's Rayo Valenzuela, whether it's George Kambosos. Doesn't matter. Maybe Vasily Lomachenko and then Shakur Stevenson will probably not get complained about ahead of time. If Gervonta beats him, it'll get complained about afterwards. But regardless, man, I'm looking forward to seeing whoever Gervonta Davis gets in the ring with. Then, speaking of the lightweight division, you have Gary Russell Jr., who was asked about or talking about a fight with Edwin De Los Santos. Now, Gary Russell Jr. is a former 126-pound champion, a WBC champion, who's not fought in a couple years, but he said, look, that Edwin De Los Santos is not sharp, he's sloppy, and he will beat him. I have to lean towards Gary Russell Jr. in that fight. Gary Russell is not somebody that I've seen lose a fight since that I've really believed has lost a fight since Vasily Lomachenko. And people want to throw him underneath the bus because of his inactivity. But look, man, even with Mark Magsayo, in my opinion, Mark Magsayo he's a big puncher, a big dude. And Gary Russell Jr. beat him, man, with just a left hand. I thought that was a robbery against Gary Russell Jr. that made him give up his 126-pound title to Mark Magsayo. But at the end of the day, man, I'm looking forward to seeing him come back and see what he can do, man. People still want to see fights with Vasily Lomachenko and want to give people Fighter of the Year because they beat Vasily Lomachenko. Hey, man, and Vasily Lomachenko had lost to Teofimo Lopez. Nobody threw him under the bus. So, hey, man, let's get Gary in there against Edwin De Los Santos, and maybe it can be for one of those vacant titles that Devin Haney gave up. We still got the WBO. At least the WBO is out there, even though I doubt that those guys are actually in the I doubt that they're in the rankings where they're going to be able to get that. I remember looking at it, and I think it was some Ukrainian guy was near the top of it, and probably, how whatever Bob Order's belt goes, they're probably going to move up somebody like Emmanuel Navarrete up to 130 to fight for that vacant title quickly. So that's what I would suspect is most likely going to happen. There. But anyway, it cuts it, man. I would be very, very happy to see these two fights. And hopefully we'll get an announcement about when these two fights will get made sometime in the next few weeks, just so that we can get the anticipation up. Hopefully the PBC gives out their entire lineup. Top Rank, I hope Top Rank and ESPN has a good portion of the year. Matchroom, whatever with them really. Other than the heavyweight division, I think maybe they're going to have some stuff with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. But man, I'm really looking forward to seeing this year and what's going to happen. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.